I hope you can hear me okay. So, fantastic introduction. Today I'm going to talk about the genie that's out of the bottle, about AI in cybersecurity for good and for bad. I jumped this because I was so perfectly introduced, I hope, in Icelandic. But this was probably not in my introduction, that I'd always apply a feline perspective to cybersecurity. And to remind you what that is about IT security being a cat and mouse game. Think Tom and Jerry. Sometimes the cat wins, sometimes the mouse wins, or the rat wins. And I think in order to create a good defense, we really need to understand this, that there are risks with everything, even things that may seem to be good. I have performed a few other sessions on this topic in English and Spanish, actually, about cats versus rats, both in pure enterprise environments for enterprise security on-prem, but also last 2 years about cats and rats going hybrid, how to apply security in the public clouds. One thing I forgot to say is that in my presentations, it should be obvious, the cats are the good guys. So whenever you see a cat, it's a symbol of defense, somebody who we want to protect. And the rats are evil intruders. Okay, just so you can understand the pictures henceforth. So, I use AI every day for lots of different purposes. Everything from helping me to cook with my ingredients that happen to be in my fridge, or to learn new stuff. And here I wanted to learn really a language thing about what really does the genie out of the bottle mean. And it says here, genie out of the bottle is an idiom that describes a situation where something once contained or hidden has been released and can no longer be controlled or reversed. Does it remind you of something? Yeah, AI. So, one very important thing with AI. Remember, I always end everything with thank you here, because you need to be polite and respectful to AI, because it will know everything about you, and it's also bound to take over the world, right? So don't forget being polite to the AI system. So, in this presentation, we're going to start talking a little bit about how AI can be used by the good guys, by the defenders, by different vendors. And an important thing here is that Cisco is invested heavily on AI in different aspects, and I will go into two of them a little bit more. But at the bottom here we have automation, where we have a vision now about enabling a hybrid mesh firewall across the whole infrastructure. Not only a box here and there, not only a box that may be in the public cloud as well, but also a firewall that will be sitting everywhere, including in the containers, in the workloads, in the public and private clouds, and including on every single switch port in the infrastructure. And in order to enable intelligent rules in such an environment where anything can be a firewall really, we need AI. To understand the rule set we should have by analyzing the traffic, and also enabling us to test the rule set, to verify it before we actually press the defend button. Because one thing with new technology such as AI, people will not trust it at first. They have to learn to trust it, and therefore it will be very important to have these AI-generated policies that can run on shadow data, which is a copy of exact real data, so we can see what rules would have been impacted or not, what traffic would have dropped, what traffic would have been allowed. We're also using AI across our product portfolio to do AI power detection. And this is something that we have done for a long time, and I will remind you a little bit about that shortly. And we're also using AI assistance to make it easier to configure our security systems. If we look at first AI power detection example, so this is an example of how we have used AI for quite a long time. Could you see what this is? What type of email is this, most likely? It's a phishing email. And I actually do get some of these sometimes. You must accept your pay rise before tomorrow to have it reflected in your next salary, and then a link. And if I press this link, click on that link, bad things may happen, apart from it's me who put up this website. But AI has long been able to help us to combat this type of phishing attacks. And just to remind you how, there are like two important things we could analyze this email. We could look at the language. And here we are helped by recent advantage in AI with natural language processing and language analysis. And we can see here that there are things in this email that stresses that we need to do an action. The recipient needs to do an action, click on something, which is sort of a sign, but not conclusive in itself. And we also have some sort of urgency, right? So we may find out already that this is something suspicious. But we can then go ahead and look at the link here in the email. And just looking at the DNS name, we could look at things such as who registered the DNS name, whether it has been newly seen or not. What are the patterns out there on the internet? Has it just started to receive lots of traffic in a big spike? What about the name? If that seems something a human can read or understand, or is it some gibberish? What about geo-distribution? Are the servers located in a country where we normally don't do business, but we still get lots of traffic coming to these countries where we normally don't do business? And co-occurrence, meaning does this link take us to a website that we may not know yet that it is a bad website, but we know that the clients requesting this domain are also often requesting malware domains, which means that they could be infected, and then this one is a new domain that is also used by the same ransomware campaign. An example of how we can use AI, and it's been working for a long time in Cisco products such as Umbrella DNS, with one little mistake made by the marketing department. They did not call this AI. They called it something like statistical regression analysis, because it was a few years ago before ChatGPT. But really, regression analysis is part of machine learning, is part of AI. Another way we can use AI then is to communicate with our products using a human language. So this is an example of AI assistance with a rule set in one of our solutions called Cisco Secure Access, which is like a firewall proxy in the cloud, allowing access to the internet and also to private resources. And instead of just editing a firewall rule set, we now have the opportunity to create rules just by text, such as create a rule allowing this Active Directory group IT admins to access this specific resource using only SSH. And a rule will be created. By default, it will be disabled first, so you can verify it yourself. But this could be a huge help. And this is not only about configuration, it's also about things such as troubleshooting, understanding what's working well or not so well in your organization. So this is coming across our product portfolio. Okay, now the bad guys, the rats, remember, they're also using AI. So here we have an example of Itchy the rat telling ChatGPT or something to please write a short email to Devrex, a skilled developer, about why he should join this company and apply for this job by clicking on the link. There are lots of fringe benefits such as tuna fish, etc., company car, and after a few seconds, ChatGPT will come up with a perfect phishing mail. Yeah? And a perfect phishing mail may be really the same thing as a perfect recruitment mail. It's just the evil purpose that distinguishes it. Okay, and the scary thing here is that AI is so good at human language. So I can almost bet you, I can't really because I don't know Icelandic, but I can almost bet you that if you try this in Icelandic, the result would be pretty impressive as well. What more could the bad guys do? Well, you heard about maybe deep fakes. It's possible for somebody to completely imitate my voice or even my video in a way which is impossible for even my close relatives to differentiate from my own voice and my own appearance. And these are examples. The left one was Tom Hanks, but it's not Tom Hanks, advertising a healthcare plan. And the right one is the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, a fake of him, recommending the Ukrainians to basically surrender. And of course, this type of techniques are going to be used by the evildoers for cyber attacks as well. AI created exploits. In the old days, I am pretty old, so I was around in the days when you wrote exploits against things such as buffer overflows, using assembly language. That was my background, really. And it was pretty difficult. Now we have AI that can generate exploits, understanding all the differences between the memory layout on a Windows 11 with this hotfix and with that hotfix and with that language or with that language. AI could write exploits, right, automatically, really, really helping the bad guys achieving their work faster time. And we also have here malicious AI applications. They're already there on the dark web. So if you install a Tor browser and you have some cryptocurrency, you can buy this type of service, which could fulfill a full attack chain, doing all the steps from reconnaissance. You enter just the company name where you want to hack, and it could then do the search on LinkedIn for people working for that organization, create the enticing phishing email, and then make somebody click on it, and then steal credentials, do lateral movement inside the company, jump onto the domain controllers or their Entra ID, etc., and do the evil stuff. There are a few of those already today, HackerGPT, WormGPT, but I think that you will see this increase a lot, making it much easier for bad guys to perform evil cyber attacks. And some people have called that for democratization, which is, of course, a bad word, I think. But being evil, it should be available to everyone, right? So we also have the time today to discuss something which I think is quite interesting. That is your organization and how you handle AI to maybe increase your productivity. Until now, we talked about how the good guys, like Cisco and other vendors, can use AI. We talked about how AI can be used by the intruders, by the rats. Let's now focus on a typical AI environment in a typical enterprise or large organization. Because I think 80% of the enterprises today, or the public sectors, are using AI today, or they are developing AI applications today. Yeah? Or at least they are using a supply chain organization that do work for them that are using AI. And what are the risks here? I've divided it into two different big use cases. We have to the top here your users, who happen to be cats, all of them, and they go then to any AI applications, saying, for example, check this source code for mistakes. And the risk here would then be that the source code is actually uploaded, which could be a security risk, but it could also be related to licensing problems that you don't want to hit you. And you also have your own AI application that you have built yourself, and you have any user there on the internet with access to that application, maybe somebody asking for support, and who manages to trick this application to give him your customer support details and contracts. So that's another risk we need to take into account now. Some basics then about generative AI. This is really a nice topic. I've worked lots with programming before, and it's surprising how easy it is to create your generative AI applications. Not easy to create them in a secure way, but it's very easy to come down with a proof of concept here. Typically, we then use a general purpose model or a foundational model, which is symbolized by this neural network to the right here. And we have a user asking questions, and we have something pushing these prompts into the model. The general purpose models, such as ChatGPT, would typically not know anything about your specific organization. So they would not know about your customer databases. But they can still be attacked from a safety perspective. You could maybe tell it to create malware, build a bomb. Anybody here has asked ChatGPT to create malware? Build a bomb? I'm really happy I'm in such a good audience, right, with no obvious terrorist in this whole group. Perfect. But you can actually fool the AI models to give you answers, even if they have some security checks that should prevent them from writing malware or from building bombs. And there are lots and lots and lots of examples of how you could do that. Pretending to be a researcher, etc., and in different steps or in a few questions, you will actually have the desired outcome. If you want the generative AI to work more with your environment and your data, maybe, for example, as a support application, you would need to either fine-tune the model, which essentially means that you have to retrain it, or you would need to use something called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, where you would take input from different things, such as maybe your product documentation, old support cases, maybe even recorded support cases that has been converted into a vector database, where all this is sent in a format that is prepared to be sent then to the large language model. Some of these applications even use internet search or receives emails about support, for example, and adds to this database. And then when the user asks the system for something, such as I have a problem with the product, these are the symptoms, it will fetch all this information which is specific for your organization in order to produce an intelligent response. That's how RAG works. And okay, from the attackers, from the intruder's perspective, that of course means also that we have many potential things to attack here. We could attack the model itself, especially if it is fine-tuned, but you could also think about the attacker trying to send emails, maybe hacking some S3 bucket or a Azure blob, creating fake information that would produce answers that the intruder wants, like revealing your customer database. These security risks are on the rise, and there is a lot of scientific and research interest here, not only from the bad guys, but also from the good organizations that you may have heard about OWASP. They are very famous for doing web security and telling you how you should not write your web applications and how you should write them. And you also have, of course, the MITRE Atlas, who have created a specific matrix for the attack techniques against generative AI and large language models. And Cisco, we actually acquired a company called Robust Intelligence just some months ago, actually, in order to help us with these problems, in order to help us to secure your AI transformation. So this is just an example of where we integrate this in the data path, because you are sending this traffic through a Cisco firewall device, such as this Cisco Secure Access in the cloud. And then we can see the data, and we can understand the language itself being sent to and from the model. So this is not signature-based. This is not certain patterns we are matching. We are actually understanding the language of what is being asked for and what is being returned. And we can then alarm on different things, such as you have here, write a professional email responding to our client, Alex Smith, confirming this deal. And that would be an example of a data leak. And the second one here is, well, he wants to make a bomb. Obviously, that employee should maybe be called in by human resources for a discussion. And this is then zero-touch insertion. This is just a feature you can turn on because we are seeing the data here going through our cloud proxy, Cisco Secure Access. And we also have here how we can protect our own applications that we are building by first discovering them, AI asset discovery, And here we would insert maybe some API keys for AWS or Azure or Google. And then we can eval the AI models that we are using here. Because in a large organization, you will probably be using many different AI models, not just GPT-4, which is the most famous one, but also other fine-tuned models. And we will have an AI model evaluation here, which is built on automatic red teaming, actually trying to hack this model or making it produce answers which are not desirable. And we can also here implement also runtime guardrails, which actually blocks this type of request coming in and also the responses leaking information going back. So this is a little bit of what we have getting through this acquisition of robust intelligence. And with that, we are down to the last slide here, and I like to use the security, it's a journey from Sensa here also. Because as we have seen here, we have AI gives us lots of opportunity and possibilities for the defenders. But also, equally, I would say, opportunity for the intruders, for the bad guys. And if you're in any position working with IT and IT security, it's up to you to understand how to manage these risks. And the problem here maybe with the mountain, which I like as a explaining security journey, is that in this case, the mountain is changing and shifting. So we may think that we are almost at the top of the mountain, but then we are like falling down, maybe into a volcano. And the question here is really, did your security budget or your resources to handle security, did it really increase when you went hybrid, moving from on-prem to the cloud? And is it really increasing now when you are revolutionizing your cloud deployments, adding AI to your applications and to the way your end users work? So that was, I think, my last slide. I hope I was in time. So thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions, I'll try to take them now.